Okay, today is probably going to be Eleanor's last day of work for spring. I had thought about trying, now that I got a tractor big enough to pull it, I'd thought about trying to run the soil finisher over the muck just to try it. And before, I'd never had the horsepower or the traction. Now I got both. Which I still might, but before I make that decision, I gotta go down there, look at it, see how green it is. If it's too green, I'm just gonna go down and disc it like normal. If it's fairly clean, which I doubt, then we might try the soil finisher on it just to see what it does. But today we gotta finish working up corn ground before we worry about anything else. Must not have lost that much hydraulic oil. It's still full. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I gotta finish working up corn ground. I'm probably gonna have almost as much freaking road time as I am actual work time today, because I literally have to drive clear from one end of where I farm to the other. But the way it worked out, even though they're the two farthest fields apart from where are two furthest apart fields that I farm, they are damn near identical soil types. So I got the same hybrid on both of them, but naturally they're the furthest ones apart. I gotta figure out what's going on here too. I think the gasket for that breather is bad, because it dribbles a little bit of oil out from underneath that. As you can see, it like blurbles a little oil out from underneath that cap. I think the gasket under that's bad, but I gotta look and see what's supposed to be underneath it. I can't remember if it was a gasket or an O-ring or what. I remember having it apart. I just don't remember what was there, or there might have been nothing there. It might have been disintegrated and gone. Okay, I gotta warm her up a little bit. I gotta put fuel in her. So far I have about 22.5-ish hours runtime on a tank pulling this finisher. It's still not empty yet. It's just a tick under a quarter, but I know that's not gonna be enough to get through today, so. On that fitting back here, see if I can get that tightened up, if that's the problem where my leak is. Probably at least clean my windshield and the back glass, because they're kind of scuzzy, and then we shall be on our way. Alright, we're at our first field. I temporarily lost the one across the street there. That's my buddy Brandon's place. He's trying to refinance his house so they could do some more remodeling. And I guess, and it's not the first time I've had somebody tell me this, I picked up a piece of ground several years ago that was in a similar situation. The guy had to wait a while before he could farm it. But apparently, however his mortgage works out, if the bank sees any sort of income coming from the land, i.e. land rent from farming or whatever else the case may be, they'll throw a hissy fit and won't refinance the home. So, because they see them as making income off the property. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but banking in the state of Michigan is very unfriendly towards agriculture to begin with. So where did that R clip go? Uh-oh. Hold on. Well, we're never finding that, so I guess I'll throw this in the cab of the tractor. So anyhow, in order for him to get his house refinanced and not have the bank throwing a hissy fit, I had to not farm it this year, and then I'll start farming it again next year. But anyhow, there's that one done. That didn't take long. Now just got like a 35-40 minute drive to the other one. I should have just made each of these the same hybrid as the closest field to them and just called it, but ah well. Well, I see a couple big limbs came down. I don't know who pushed them out of the way. Somebody did. Was not me. There's stuff hung up on. There's that. There's one out by the road. There's this one. There's one hung up there. There's one hung up there. Honestly, never even thought to come up here and check up here. This is a pretty healthy fence line. I didn't figure there'd be any wind damage. Oh, probably need to. But I figured I'd get up here and I'd be like one of the last fields that ain't been touched. But I bet just on this road alone I passed somewhere between 700 and 800 acres that it's like they ain't even looked at it yet. There ain't been no tillage done. They ain't like burned it down. There's just a whole lot of nothing been going on with it. So now I don't feel so bad. There's obviously still a few guys around here that have a lot further to go than I do. Don't fully understand why, because I know dang this is all like light ground. This is up this way. This is sissy farming. Normally you gotta, unless you have like springs, which there are springs up here, but it's it springs in sand. It's not like the springs we got down home where it springs in clay. But yeah. So anywho, this should be the last field that needs a finisher run over it. Unless I end up running it over the muck. right, this one's done. So I should, it's gonna be close, I should have enough time, get home, grab the hybrid that's going on this field. I gotta decide, I gotta look at the seed size on it, see how close is the stuff I was just planting, whether or not I clean the planter out or just plan out what's in it. I probably just gonna plan out what's in it and get rid of it so I don't got a loose bag of seed laying around. But get the tea moved up here, get my truck and the nurse tank moved up here, and I should still have enough daylight to get this planted out. I'm curious to see how many acres it is. It's supposed to be like 20, but if the way I mapped it out, it's like 16 and a half, 17. So I'm curious to see what the planter monitor says. So, and I'm thinking, just the way it lays, once I get that wet spot, or once I get the tile fixed in that wet spot, hopefully here this August is gonna be busy. Got Rantoul in there, got the fair in there. August is gonna be end of July and August is gonna be, well, this whole summer. It just seems, especially since I put hay into the mix, summers are just busier than heck anymore. But once I get that wet spot tiled and taken care of, I think it's gonna make a lot more sense the way everything lays to farm this field this way. Maybe, we'll see. Maybe not, it depends. But anyhow, I'm gonna skedaddle on back to the house, drop this thing off, grab that seed, and see if we can't get up here and get at least this one taken out. I know we're probably not gonna get them both done today. But if I can get this one done today, it won't be hard to go get that other one, that small 4-acre piece, tomorrow after work real quick. So pitter patter, let's get at her. I tell you what, and take this with a grain of salt, because it is Memorial Day weekend and the Chicago City-ites are out here in force, which from here on out it only gets worse until the weather turns to shit and they fly back home. It never ceases to amaze me how going down the road, this thing takes up better part of a lane and a half, and like coming about the mailbox switch sides of the road, but like figure half the distance between where I just was and here. The mailboxes were on my side of the road, so I had nowhere to go. And it never ceases to amaze me how these idiots will come hauling ass up to you well over the speed limit and damn near hug the center line of the road. Like, they see this death machine hanging out here standing straight up and down, and they still are completely oblivious to the fact that if they hit that, somebody's gonna die. And I slow down, I get over as far as I can, but I mean, you're big, you're massive, you're not maneuverable in the road, there's only so much you can do. If somebody hits you, I'll still be the one to get blamed for it, because, you know, that's just the way it works now. And that, God forbid, the idiot doing the driving that smokes you at 55 mile an hour because they didn't slow down or get over. But I digress. So I'm gonna go get my seed loaded up, and we'll go see if we can get that field knocked out. Okay, managed to save a fair old bit of time. Shelly followed me up here with the truck and nurse tank, and then Mom and Dad came up and got her, and everybody got here at the same time, and they took off with her so she didn't have to wait on me, and I didn't have to have her come get me and then go back down and get my truck and waste time doing all that. So it all worked out. So I'm not gonna bother cleaning the seed out that's in the hoppers. I'd just get rid of it. There ain't no sense in having part of a bag laying around. I'll just have to probably, once it starts feed, those are rounds. They're pretty good size rounds. They're 58.5 pound bags, but I'll just probably, after I can probably go ahead and turn my air pressure, probably plant a set of endros on and then go ahead and turn my air pressure back down, because it shouldn't need to be that high to run them rounds. So I will get filled up here, and we'll be on our way. If it's any indication of what I've been able to manage in the past, probably be out here, probably be about 2 hours-ish. Honestly, as goofy as shaped as it is, it's probably gonna take me, it's gonna take it probably a little bit to put the end rows on. What I'm probably gonna do is plant this big piece, shoot end rows right straight off that fence line back to that wet spot, and then plant that dork over there separate. So that's the plan. All right, I'm gonna put in a set of rows here along the road, then turn my air back down. You got to do it after you get the plates full. But some of the rows were pretty much empty. Some of them had like just barely to the inside of the hopper, so RPM that we plan at, so the fan's running at the right RPM. Right now we're running about 3.5. So back that down to about 2. That's roughly where I normally run it. There we go. We'll see how that does. Alright, things are going well. I got all the end rows put on. I got that dork back there planted, and I started, that end is the one with the straightest edge, so I started over there and I'm working my way this way, but I don't think I'm out of starter yet, but I'm not a fan of this dark starter because, at least from the tractor seat, you can't see the damn balls in my flow meters. The starter is like almost the color of the balls, so you can't see them floating. So I've just been watching the monitor because I know I have enough to plant about 8.5, 9 acres on a fill. And I got the 7. I'm like, okay, we're gonna fill it right now. So you just kind of gotta, at this point, you gotta trust that everything's back here doing what it's supposed to. But that hydrohume, well, let me get hooked up here. Anyhow, that hydrohume, and I only had like a splash in here. It was basically whatever rinsed out of that tank when I poured that starter in it and I was cleaning the truck out. All it takes is like a couple drops to make your starter load pitch black. And it comes in 2 forms. There's a dry blend that obviously goes in with dry fertilizer. That stuff's like miserably dusty. It's like loading coal. And then there's this stuff, and if you get it on your skin, on your clothes, on anything, it'll stain instantly, and it takes forever. I don't know if you can get it out of your clothes at all, but like on your skin, it takes forever to get it off your, get the stain off your skin. And all it is like, it's supposed to like stimulate biological activity in the soil. It's nothing. It's like organic. It's basically liquefied organic matter is basically what it is, humic acid. And so it's nothing dangerous. It stains to be like nothing else. And then it makes your starter black so you can't see the balls in your flow meters apparently. All right, monitor said 17.9 acres. The last pass back, there was for about half of it, there's 4 rows overlapping, so I'd say it's probably 17.6, 17.7, somewhere in there. It's probably a full 18 if you took that wet spot back into production. But should have enough fertilizer on the planter to finish up that last little field tomorrow. I could probably take a bag of seed with me just in case. Gonna have to pull this little guy out and rebuild it. It started weeping. Apparently it started last night. It's making it kind of a pain to get folded up because it doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough to push the springs out and keep them held in order to get everything unlocked and start folding. But it's weeping out of the rod seal, so a one-way cylinder, if it's weeping out of the rod seal, that means it's blowing past the piston. But it looks like a simple little cylinder. Probably have everything in the shop to rebuild it. I doubt there's anything too spectacular in there. So, but I'm going to get this thing back, get it put in the bar, get back up here and get my pickup. So we will catch you guys tomorrow to get finished up with corn. All right, I can finally say it. I'm gonna get finished up with corn today, although I really haven't been doing that bad. We just had a guy come in today for his first load of starter, like he's just starting to plant corn. And I was driving around, like, well, yesterday coming home, I took a back way bringing the nurse tank home, and I coming down that road, and it's like, well, shoot, there's, like, I'm doing pretty good. There's a bunch of ground around here that ain't planted yet, like a lot, which kind of surprises me. I figured I'd be like, the rate things were going, like one of the last ones planting, but I will be far from last. Damn. You tear a bird's nest out, and less than 24 hours later, there's another one. So, anyhow, what was I talking about? Oh, like I may, well, it's gonna depend. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, which hopefully it does. I'm not gonna complain. We're not talking a huge deal. They're saying like a quarter, half inch, something like that. At least they were this morning. I haven't checked recently. But hopefully that gets here. We could use another little spritzing. This darn thing hasn't used any oil. Not a drop. Go to get it yesterday, take it up to that field. 2 quarts low. Check it today, right on the money. You so silly. And I have it's developed, this is a new development, a hydraulic leak out of this flow control right here. So I have to address that here at some point. Probably, well, getting on planting, I'm gonna do it because I'm probably gonna side dress with this. Because hopefully this year I'm actually side dressing at a more appropriate time and still in the work range. When the corn's, you know, yay tall instead of yay tall. Right, Lily? Right, wiggle back. Wiggle back in here. So, I got like 80 gallon of fertilizer in there, so that should be plenty to do the 4 acres I need to do. I'm gonna try, I gotta figure out where I can carry, I want to like carry 2 bags of seed with me over there. That ticks me off too. Yesterday when I was planting that field, I don't know when I'm assuming it happened when I was planting the field. I don't know where else it would have happened, but it broke that handle on that valve. But bright side, it didn't break the valve, and I can replace the handle. I think the Rural King sells those. Where can we, I called Maybach today, got a seal kit ordered for that cylinder, because that's kind of a pain when that thing doesn't work. Basically what it's doing, when a single acting cylinder leaks, it fills up the non-pressure side of the piston with oil, and then basically it'll hydrolock itself. So that's why it's leaking out of the rod seal, is because it's got to, in order for it to do its job, it's got to clear out this cavity of oil, and the only place for it to go is out the rod seal. So I called Maybach today, got a seal kit coming for that guy, so we can take care of that problem. If I wanted to set a couple bags of seed on here, I'm thinking if I can get them right there, they can't go nowhere. I think that'll work. If I can get them right there and not break them, that'll work. So, let's go do this. Okay. Just check, see if everything. Probably damn near gonna have enough seed on the planter. But just my luck, I don't have to break into a bag. But I just want to make sure they're all about even, which they appear to be. Yeah, we can plant for a little bit. done. Figured before I got this thing all the way up in a transport, I'd leave her sitting on the ground, make it easier to get my bags of corn in here. That was a good idea. And did not have to break into another bag of corn. I knew it was going to be tight. That other field running a little short on acres, and then, oh, that was... You weren't going to cut it much closer than that. But that last field running a couple acres short of what it was in theory supposed to be, and then I probably had a couple acres, acre and a half, couple acres worth of flats in it from the last hybrid, so it all worked out. So now I got 3 bags of corn returned, which will probably dang near offset the cost of those extra bags of beans I had to buy. So it might come out in pretty much a wash. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this back to the house, get the corn out of it, and get the bean plates in it, and probably do a little investigating in the manual as far as bean settings, because this is going to be a new experience for me. I've never planted beans with this before, so it's going to be different for sure. And I'm gonna go ahead and just, the starter that's in it, when I start planting beans, I'll just plant the starter out, which that'll be interesting in itself, because I might even flag it out where the beans were with the starter, just to watch and see if there's a difference between starter and not. Just a little side experiment. I mean, the starter's already in there, I might as well clean it out, right? So, but with that being said, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Almost there.